If you watch this on a computer, there is a very good chance that you've either seen or are using right now one of these. This is an SSD drive. In particular, this is a Kingston 2TB drive. This has been sent to me by Kingston along with 8 more drives for another video which was made in collaboration with QNAP, where I've created my own home storage solution. I'm actually currently editing this video that you're watching right now off of that QNAP drive and off of these drives here in a RAID array. But this is not the subject of today's video. I'm going to talk about this particular drive, and this is because I want to show you that there's more than one way of using SSD drives. You already know about the first thing, which is the SSDs being used in modern computers for just speed, raw speed, and there are multiple different shapes and ways of connecting them to your computer, but this is by far the most familiar shape of an SSD. It's been the same for many years. What changed is what's on the inside of these drives, and this is the number of chips and the speed of these chips and the capacity. Historically, SSDs used to be much more pricey than the spinning drives, but the higher price obviously comes with some additional things that you don't get with spinning drives, and this is obviously speed, because these are much faster, not even comparable to spinning drives. These are much more reliable because there's no spinning parts inside, no moving parts inside, so they are much more rugged. I wouldn't call them weatherproof because they're not. They're supposed to be inside of your computer or some other enclosure, but they are made to last. And not only the speed but also the capacity is growing. They are catching up with the spinning drives, which can be much bigger because they are physically much bigger. So why is this particular drive any better or different to all the other drives on the market? First thing is that this is an enterprise solution. It has a much higher grade of reliability, and what you want from these drives is mostly capacity. The bigger capacity, the better for the system you use. For example, like in my NAS, I can store currently 8 times 2 terabytes, which is 16 terabytes minus the redundancy, so around 12 terabytes of data, which is a lot for photos and videos. But this is not the only way of using these drives in daily work and normal everyday life. As a videographer, as a filmmaker, I use solutions like monitors, and these screens, not only screens because they also record, so hence the name recorders or monitors, they can store the film or the footage on these drives directly. So like right now I'm filming myself on the camera, but the camera has a cable connected to my Atomos Ninja V, which uses this exact drive. There are a few things that can limit your filming capabilities when it comes to connecting one of these devices like a Ninja V to your camera, and this is the speed and capacity. So capacity is pretty much solved here because 2 terabytes is a huge amount of data to be stored. I mentioned the capacity not only because you can record more overall and can store more on one disk, but also every minute of your ProRes RAW footage can have anywhere between 3 to 20 gigabytes of space required. This is 1 minute of video, so depending on the quality and obviously resolution and other factors like a frame rate, for example, it needs a lot of space because it stores a lot of information on this exact drive. What's happening is your camera is giving its absolute best to record the best possible footage it can, which travels across the HDMI cable onto the recorder, and the recorder saves it onto your drive. So every component on the way, so including the camera, the cable, and obviously the recorder, are important, but this is where the data ends up. So this is very important to have like unlimited pretty much space, because 2 terabytes is so much that you cannot physically film long enough. So what I would normally do is I would record something like this video right now, which lives on this drive here for whatever number of days that I need it to, but also at the same time, as soon as I finish recording, I transfer the same files, or copy them rather, onto my NAS, because it's much safer to have 2 sources of video or 2 copies of the same video. Obviously, redundancy is very important, and we talked about this in the last video about these drives, or rather about the QNAP solution using these drives, so you know a little bit about this. If you don't, I'll leave a link somewhere in this video, probably in one of these corners, and in the description below, where you can watch the whole video. It's very interesting. It shows the whole process from start to finish of how would you set it up yourself. But the second thing I want to mention that is very important for your daily filming is the speed, and this drive can easily handle 4K footage raw directly onto it. Another very important part of filmmaking, at least my filmmaking on daily basis, is the ability of instant playback and review of the footage I recorded, especially on location, because you never know if everything went right, if you filmed everything the way you wanted, and if nothing is, you know, blurred or in other ways not usable. So what I like to do is to use just my Ninja V to play the video I just filmed to see if everything was filmed correctly. As we are at the preview and playback of your data, you don't actually have to mount it in anything at all. You can just use an adapter to plug it into your computer using a USB. As long as it's fast enough to read the data off of the drive, you can use whatever you like. So it doesn't really matter that much, but you can connect the drive directly just using a USB and treating this as your external drive like you would any other USB drive. And in fact, with the USB 3, SATA connection is actually comparable speed-wise to the USB, so you don't actually lose out much. In fact, if you look at the drive itself, it offers 6 gigabits of speed, which translates to roughly 600 megabytes per second when you transfer data off of it, which is actually faster than USB 3.0, which only offers 5 gigabits per second, which is around 500 megabytes. It's not an exact science, obviously, but it's close enough. So this means that the drive itself, or rather the port on it, is faster than your USB 3.0 connector, which is very prevalent on mobile devices especially. Instant playback off of these drives using USB isn't the only thing you can do when you connect it this way. What I do very often actually is I connect them to edit directly off of them. So this is the kind of first drive, first location for my footage, and obviously I copy it over to my NAS, and this is where it stays until I don't need it anymore when it goes to my cloud. But in the meantime, I actually edit off of these because it's plenty fast enough to support 4K editing. In fact, what I've done is I've upgraded my network to support fast enough connection to edit directly off of the NAS itself, which obviously uses these drives again. So it's very versatile, and I can't recommend enough using SSDs in your daily workflow. Not only these exact drives are present in my daily life and filming workflow, but also different variations of Kingston drives are in my computers, laptops, and everything else that needs some sort of storage, fast and reliable storage. But I would love to know what you guys think about this kind of solution, and I know the subject isn't really super flashy, but I want you to tell me, what would you use a USB connected SSD like this for, or perhaps what would you change in your own computers to make them faster? How would you use these drives? For example, I actually use them to game on as well, so obviously not this particular one, but I have Kingston drives which I used to install games on and game off of them directly, because they are way faster than anything else I can connect to my computer directly even. I'll do my absolute best to answer all your questions in the comments below about these drives and any other Kingston drives. I actually have done quite a lot of testing with all my gear, so I've used these drives in my Ninja V, in my laptops, in my main computers, in my NAS as well, so I know quite a lot about them. If you have any questions at all about what you have right now, what you want to buy in the future, let me know in the comments below. In the meantime though, thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you soon, and take care.